everybody, and welcome to the Old Moon Podcast, episode 26. First try.
You got it.
Yep.
No
Yep, totally
editing
first
required. Shut up. All right, I'm your host, Blue Squadron. As always, welcome, guys. And we're going to go with Tiltus first this time.
Hello,
Yes.
I am Tiltus TV. I am the flex lead for the Alliance Solace. I play DK, have mained DK for 6 years. And I enjoy the PvPs, which hopefully aren't going to die after tonight. We will see. Please be good, please.
So excited about that. I mean, oh no, please don't.
And yeah, I will be back streaming a lot soon once work stops beating the shit out of me.
Tiltus, did you got handlebar mustache coming on now, Big Dog?
I do.
It's kind of making me a little
Maka.
blood rush into places for that. Jay?
Hey, yo.
Oh, hi, I'm Jake. TV before the T. I'm an Awakening Whistle main with 760 Gear Score. I do a lot of in-game content such as Olins, the dungeons, and currently grind for the telescope in Olakita. And welcome to the Old Moon Half a Year Cast, episode 26.
Let's go.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Wow.
We
Wait,
made
it is half a year, Cat.
You told us that before.
God damn it, Jay. This is literally your job. Tiltus makes the entire outline, slaves away. I'm just kidding. Jay makes the whole outline. He fucking carries us every week now.
No, you guys heard it here first. It's definitely me. I definitely put a lot of work and thought into the outline and make it color coordinated every week.
Yeah. So
I could see the eye roll behind Jason.
yeah, you can literally see his model getting. Oh, he's so mad right now. This is a Christian podcast, Jay. Hold it in. Do it for Jesus. Okay. Our first subject today is going to be the class passives, because we have literally wanted to talk about this for like 4 weeks and we never get to the forum posts. So this week we figured we would just start off with it. Our boy Yukatrina wants to change to class passives concept. Totally wants the passives reworked and thinks that they could be a much more unique way to express how individualistic each class is. I assume you guys have kind of looked at this post so far here.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of suggestions here. I'm curious what your take is. We started with Tiltus for the intro. Jay, how do you feel about just the idea of reworking class passes as they stand? Do you think that they need to be updated, or do you feel that class passives are fine, kind of where they're at?
Well, I do think I've always wanted more customizability when it comes to, my playstyle, and class passives could have been a way to do that. I don't know if you remember, I think it was in March, they tried doing that with the class passives, and I don't know if you remember, Witch and Wizard got 10% more knowledge. Do you remember?
Yep.
Don't you?
Oh,
Yeah. Everyone
yeah,
else was
one.
yeah, we get 50% drop rate, or I get 25% more horse training EXP, and Wizard and Witch get 2% more knowledge gain. Higher chance to gain higher knowledge or some dumb. Oh my god.
The devs definitely tried to do something, and it looks like this person, the original poster spent a lot of time and effort. I don't know if you've been looking through this entire post. They made all these graphs and all that stuff, right? They made a lot of effort to create these concepts of reworking the passives, and it definitely makes it a lot easier to understand where they were trying to go with it. But I do think maybe at the same time, some of these class passives, if you gave it to certain classes, it might be a little strong. So maybe the balancing might be a little bit hard to, it might be a nightmare to balance, especially let's say we give accuracy and evasion passives to those classes who really thrive in those extra stats,
You lost
So
me.
I don't know if this is the
balance. I'm sorry. What was that?
We care about
I don't know
balance
if
in this game.
this is the best way to approach it, but what's the word for it? If I had to create an idea on how to make these class passives work, I would make them personally less stat stick based, because I think stat sticks are kind of boring in a way, right? It's just extra stats. But if I had a take on it, it would be more skill based, right? Class skill based. Something for example, it would be more interesting to have diverging paths on what things to take. For example, let's take Awakening Witch, right? She specializes in earth and lightning magic, but let's say I take a passive that allows me to spec into empowering my earth spells or lightning spells, but it would lock me out of the other path. So if I take a passive that gives me more, I don't know, 10% more damage to voltaic, but then I can't take a passive that gives me 10% more damage on equilibrium break or something like that. Again, it would be maybe a nightmare to balance. Maybe it could be limited more to PvE for some of the damage passives or more utility for PvP passives. But I think it would be a lot more interesting to promote more, let's say, like build diversity in this game. So that would be my take on reworking the class passives.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that like it would give. I think honestly it's kind of low-hanging fruit. Last time they went through and like made Succession, which is like this entire other skill tree with all the, or like the, like this crazy prime skills and all these new mechanics and stuff. If they just added a bunch of different passives that just adjusted your stats, but you can only take 2 or 3 of them or whatever, however they wanted to balance it, you could literally specialize your class to exactly what you wanted. And I think that's really cool. Tiltus, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so my take on it is I do think it would be more difficult to balance. That being said, balance is not our issue as a player. That is the developer's issue. I think
not my problem. It's yours.
Well, here's the thing. I think as a player,
that's a problem.
Yeah, well, it is. But I think as a player, everybody wants to be able to feel unique in the way that they choose to play their class. And that's something I think BDO struggles with, because I think a lot of players, especially up to the point you get to the very high end of gear, all build the exact same items. You're building the exact same core items until you get to the point where you can start doing the evasion memes, where you can start doing the DP memes, when you can start actually buying accuracy, offhands and accessories, because for the most part, your goal up until very late game is I need more AP so that I can grind more money. And so I feel like this is a way that allows you to dabble in these additional builds without, having to sacrifice a ton of money or time or gear progression, and be able to play around with these different ideas. So I think it's really good. I think it needs to be reworked, and I think we should have more diversity to our builds. And I think if it's a balancing nightmare, then PA just needs to make it easier to balance. They developed this crazy engine, and then they're like, we don't know how to balance anything.
Just make it easier, Jay. I don't know why we didn't think of that sooner.
Why do we? It just like stat crunch a little bit. Like get rid of hidden. Just make it all applied AP. There's no point to have hidden anymore. It's all visible to us anyways. Like, get rid of all these additional outliers, stat crunch it all together, and it would make balancing way easier, and then give us the diversity that we want for the builds. Because playing an Evasion Dark Knight sounds cool as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds sick. I would love to do that.
Why? Is there a particular reason?
No, it just sounds fun. Like, it just sounds enjoyable.
It sounds like garbage, because then you're not doing as much damage.
Yeah, but if I get to just be harassing can you imagine if I just don't die when I get knocked down and I can just stand up in Seed of Catastrophe again?
Do you know what?
You just get to be a mid-range disruptor now because I'm evasion.
Do you know what the best disruption is? Death.
Kill. Yeah,
Death
exactly.
is the best disruption.
That's like
build DR, kill them in one shot. They don't disrupt anyone.
I don't like it. Just rocket tag. I've talked about this before. Rocket tag is bleh. It's boring. It's like I do more damage. Okay, you did more damage. Congratulations. There's no niche for classes to shine. We talked about that with Mystic. Mystic is a fantastic disruptor class. That's just like
fantastic is such a strong word for garbage. Like, I think
the concept,
kit,
the concept in the kit. Yeah,
her kit is really good at disrupting, but she can't tank anything. She's just dead. Unless you're sporting 1700 evasion nowadays, you're just instantly vaporized. And even then, if you're fighting the wrong people, you're still dead. Yeah, you're still dead. So, like, what kind of passives? Like, okay, so you want to play Evasion Dark Knight? Hot take. I'm thinking for Witch.
I think it would be fun to be able to try it and not get super punished for it. Like if I had the passives to be able to spec into evasion, then it would be fun to play around with evasion once. Maybe it's hot garbage, but if I want to try it, let me try it.
I think for Awakening Witch, I would definitely just spec into like some super defensive stuff, because I feel like that class is kind of meant. I know this is kind of a hot take, but that class is really not meant to do any damage. That class is meant to support and, again, disrupt and generally just try to. You're kind of like a cleric if you're anything else. You know what I mean? You're trying to be in the middle of everything, and you're trying to keep everybody buffed up and healed.
Well, I think that was the concept with staff classes in the beginning, because you had the Blizzard, you had the Meteor, you had the Heal, you had the PA, and those were all pre-awakened skills. So like the concept of like pre-awakened Witch Wizard was to be the long-range caster that debuffs and buffs and heals and that kind of thing. And then they said Awakening came out and it was like, all right, now you're close range nuke. Go do your damage.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, traditionally clerics are meant to be melee. That's why I use cleric as an example. So I like being like in the middle of everything, like healing the homies, not standing.
Just play Valkyrie.
Like that's a funny joke. That's a funny joke. I think
it'd be cool if there was a passive that, hey, you do 50% less damage, but then you do 50% more healing, and you're also 50% more defensive.
Cool. Yeah,
that would just completely change that play style. And I think that's what class passives could be, is that it completely defines your play style.
If you're not going for a stat stick, yeah,
that
I
right
definitely
there.
See what you're saying.
I mean, I thought that Jay suggesting that necromancers should be able to res an entire guild. I thought that was super busted, and then he hits me with this. What if you just like were 50% less damage, but like healed everybody for 50% more? I think that would get abused like super quick. However, I think that they could implement more healing reduction or something, like kind of like the BSRs that we have now.
That could be a passive for another class. It would add this sort of 50% healing reduction, for that class. If they spec into it,
You could throw down disruption zones that like healing is 50% less in these spaces, so all the staffs have to like spread out, and then like you don't want all your staffs in that spec, right? Like it's balanceable, it'd be doable, and it'd be super fun. I think it would add a dynamic to large scale PvP, which is being killed in this patch. Which would be super cool. Well, actually, we don't know if these are the big changes.
We don't know what the changes are going to be. They've posted a lot of different changes. They've backtracked some stuff. We'll find out tomorrow. I don't want to harp on that one too much, because last week was our soapbox for the doom and gloom as PvP.
I loved it. But yeah, okay, so like what kind of Jay, what kind of passives might you look at here for Wusa? If you were going to try to optimize your Wusa, which way do you think you would go with it? Because you play Awakening Wusa still, right? Yeah, so like which way would you go with that? Because it's got support capabilities, or would you rather see like more range damage, or maybe you're just a little bit more defensive, or what would you try to do with it?
Perhaps she could go more of a debilitating round, just like all her bombs just always. What if there's like a passive that gave her bombs like ignore CC resistance, and so it would just she could be that disruptor, that debilitator kind of class, or she could go more of a support route. Let's say there's a passive that made her bombs heal other people if they got hit by the bombs, something like that. That would like change like the whole defining I would love if class passes really defined those play styles very differently, and that would make build diversity way different, for
so
classes.
You're thinking of like instead of class passes the way that we have them currently in the game, you're thinking more of like a subclass,
very drastic, almost like a subclass,
where it's like you could go damage, you could go support, or you could go tank or something like that on every class, and it would have diverging paths of what the abilities do. That would be interesting.
So what if, and hear me out, her abilities,
I hate it,
could damage enemies but could heal allies? I know this is a new concept. I know this is crazy outside the box, Moira. But like, it's never been done in any other game ever. But like, I'm surprised that we haven't seen that in BDO yet, to be honest with you. But that's kind of
doesn't Corsair do that?
Get the fuck out of here right now. Why do you gotta poke holes in me?
Okay, I'm
gonna
bye,
need
guys.
you to just get the hell out of it. What do you gotta do me like that? I'm gonna roll over here and then you gotta talk.
Well, it was when
it's
Wusa
only
came
with the
out.
alt,
We had
though.
the whole.
It's only on the alt.
We had the whole conversation about how water is healing, and like like we had this whole long conversation where we talked about this exact thing.
It's fake news. I'm gonna start calling you Fox. But no, like that only works with 100% though. I'm talking with like more of her abilities. Like what if If Wusa's abilities also healed her allies, all of her melee abilities would then be usable in large scale PvP. Instead of just, oh, somebody's on top of me, I have to use the defensive skill.
Let's say you're storm falling and that heals instead of damages or something like that. And you could spec into that as a healing storm fall. It'd be like a monsoon, instead of something to damage enemies with,
Oh my god.
Those kinds of like diverging skill tree kind of things. It's exciting to think about.
Yeah,
I love these kind of theory crafting stuff.
I know, and it doesn't have to be crazy. They could literally, like, he's got this wheel here where you could like just click and drag like a thing, and you could the more you drag towards accuracy or evasion or critical damage or stamina or hit points or DP or crit rate or cast speed or whatever it is, you got more of that stat, but then like you have less of all the other stuff. You know what I mean? Like it starts to narrow out the other stuff.
I think will say
really cool.
in this post, I think the second design that he has makes way more sense, where it's like if I want to have 20% crit damage, I can crank that thing all the way up and sack everything else on the wheel. I do like that a lot more than just copy pasting all the different passes from every class into one big page. I think this allows for a lot more diversity in every single player, because like, what if I want to go half accuracy and half AP? Okay, well that's an option. What if I want to go DR and HP? That's an option. If I want to go max HP, I feel like it opens the door for way more like individual expression between every player, and then at the same time, it would be a balancing nightmare to do this, but again,
I don't think so.
I think they just need to stat crunch the game. It's time. There's a lot of stats in the game now. Personally, I think it's just time for a stat crunch.
What do you mean by stat crunch? I know what you mean, but the listeners don't, so you should explain it so that they know, and then we'll all know.
A stat crunch is like just compressing all the information down to where it's one thing. So if I look at my AP, I want to see my AP. I don't want to see like, okay, I have AP against this character versus this character. I've got different AP this character versus this character. I don't want to see hidden. AP doesn't have hidden. AP doesn't have hidden stats. I guess technically it does. It's got the brackets. That's something else you could do away with. Like, I would much rather just see, if I hover over my AP, this is what my AP is. If I hover over my DP, this is what it is. If I hover over my DR, this is what it is. All the rates and you have more AP and more damage reduction against certain classes. Like, get rid of all that stuff so that the game is way easier to balance. And then just create, if you have 500 DR, you have 500 DR. Okay, there you go. Congratulations. And it makes the game way easier to balance, I think, in that situation. Right now, it's like, if you change one thing in the game, you also have to take into account that you're changing accuracy rate, you're changing DR rate, you're changing evasion rate, you're changing the hidden stats, you're changing the bracket stats. Like, there's all these different things that all apply to it at the same time. And it's like, why have all these systems if you can't even balance the game in the way the current form?
But like, I'll be honest, when you started talking, I was like, they can't do that. It would take so much. And then you just kept talking. And then it started making more sense. And then I thought to myself, no, why don't they do? Wait, why the fuck do we have all these extra stats in the fucking game, dude?
That's what I'm saying.
Wait a minute.
There's so many of them. And then it's like, if you change one thing, you have to take, like, they don't take into account what all that changes. That's why we get these. That's why we get these really weird patches where suddenly one class is like ridiculously strong for a patch, and they're like, "Whoa, our bad, we did something bad." And it's like, yeah, it's because like you have all these hidden stats, so it's not just if I increase the damage multiplier on this skill. Sure, it's doing more % damage, but it's also running 1,000 calculations on all the other stats that you have in there at the same time. And then the class v class stuff is just dog. Remove that. I hate that system so much.
Yeah, I mean, like, Jay, how do you feel about that? Just condensing all that hidden DR and then the hidden evasion, just condense it all down to like, here's your AP, here's your DP, here's your evasion. Here's your DR.
Yeah, I do think, especially as a new player, all these stats can be, there's so many stats to account for, to look at, and it can be really daunting to a new player. And so if they found a way to simplify it or do it as our Twitch Tiltus. I was about to read your.
The eyes stand still. The eyes are on the side of my head. Jay.
Yeah, yeah. The way Tiltus was describing it, then I think it would be a lot easier for a new player to get into all this, like sort of, know how to build their character, right, based on
think about
more simplified stats. So
think about if you're a brand new character, where in the game does it tell you about the brackets?
There is a My Stats menu, but I think
no.
they don't really
think about when you hit 261 AP, and think about when you hit the 269 bracket, and think about when you hit the 273 bracket.
Yeah.
Where is that stat sheet in BDO?
No, I have to explain that to every viewer that comes in. They're like, we don't know how to build because we don't, like, why do I need to do this? Because then you hit 261. Well, why is that number important? Okay, well then you have to explain it to them, and you show them all this stuff. They're like, wait, the number bigger, good. You know what I mean? Like yeah. So you just have to explain all that to them. And again, there's nothing in the game that kind of explains that to them. Why not just, like, I don't know, combine it all? I feel like you could just,
like, why do classes have like more damage reduction or more damage to other classes?
That's like that. I like, because they said that there's no class in BDO counters other classes, and then they made Striker, and then they made Mystic. I understand.
Do you remember Tamer had 120% damage taken from all magic classes in the game?
No.
Remember that?
No, I remember seeing Dark Knights, and I remember thinking, I was playing Dark Knight for like 3.5 years, and I'm like, God, I feel like the squishiest class in the game. I don't know why, but I feel like the squishiest. And then come to find out, everyone is doing like 140% damage to me. And I already have low defensive stats. I'm like a fart in the wind jumping around, man.
That's a throwback right there.
It is. Yeah. Like, it's actually just crazy. Now that, yeah, they could take that. Like, that would require a little bit more balancing, though. I think that certain classes are kind of balanced around stuff like that. So, like, I don't know if I would touch that necessarily.
I think the intention was to help that adjust balance between the classes, and I think it flopped. I think they honestly forget that system's there when they send out balance patches.
I don't know. It's tough to say. I feel like they've made it way too complicated on themselves, and in so doing, if it's too complicated for them to barely keep up with and figure out, how are the players going to be able to keep up with this and figure this out? Especially new players. Like, how? Like, wait, what's hidden DR? Wait, what's hidden evasion? Wait, so if I have enough hidden evasion, I hit this bracket, right? Like, no, that doesn't count. It's only the stuff that's on your DB. Like all of this stuff that goes like, oh wait, he's doing more damage to me because he's a striker. Like, wait, what is this? Like, all of these extra systems could be condensed down like super far, and you could basically just come out with these customizable class passives that would allow people to take the class that they've been playing for thousands of hours and customize it way further than they ever have had done before. And I honestly think it would be easier to balance because you don't have a million aspects of every single thing.
I figured it out. Instead of a class rework, we just get a stat rework. Don't touch the classes at all. Just change the stats.
Yeah, well, that's why I said, like, I feel like they don't need, like, I was thinking this whole time, I'm thinking about a third skill tree. I'm like, Awakening, Succession, and Baja Blast spec or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know, just throwing it out there. But, like, instead of a new spec, they could just do this, and then it would be, like, basically infinitely customizable. It would be super fun, right? Like, that would be crazy fun. So, yeah, I'm not sure what exactly I would do with that. Does Awakening Musa struggle with stamina, by the way?
No, not really.
Oh, not at all? Okay, yeah, nerf that.
Nope.
Yeah.
He had to throw that one under the bus. He was like, whoop.
Well, I was just looking at this. I was looking at this skill tree where you can invest in like crazy points and stuff, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Your mobility is really good on Awakening Musa. I would say even better than Suck.
Some of the passives that already exist in the game are like really cool. Like, why don't I have those combinations of things on my DK?
No. Yeah, no kidding. Like, I feel like, yeah, and plus they added all these passives which we thought were super cool. Like, they started with Corsair, where it's like, she's a pirate, so she gets the 1% boat stats and she can walk across the water, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, that's amazing. And then every I guess it was Hash was the first one. He could run through the desert without stamina. But like, And then, like, why didn't we get that for like every class?
Yeah,
Why
I'm
didn't-
surprised that when that came out for Hash, I said there's actually a video on my YouTube channel that you can go look at where I talked about how it should be retroactive for all the classes, and they should just add a little flavor, thing to each class, and that would be like a lot of players would really enjoy that. I feel like
Anything.
I know my Hashes in my guild get so excited when we do Desert Wars because they're like, I'm faster than everybody else here. Look at me. And then sure enough, they do get everywhere that much faster than everybody else. But it's like that's a moment that I can point to where I'm like, sure, it's not a huge thing, but they do, like, my Hashes do go, I'm faster in the desert. I can get to somewhere faster than you.
Yeah, but we don't care because nobody plays that class.
Yeah.
You know, like
the one or two guys are like, yeah, Desert War is cool. Yeah, I can run.
yeah, he can get to the fight faster, and so that he can int, so that he can run to the desert more and abuse that passive. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I think that class passes are definitely something that they could expand a tremendous amount on that stuff. But we're gonna go the whole time talking about that if we're not careful. Us and our theory crafting. I'm gonna move us forward.
I'm telling you, I'm dropping it now because I mentioned this many months ago and I want to bring it back. So I'm saying it on the podcast so that maybe it'll happen. We need to do a theory crafting episode where we each take 20 minutes and we come up with a class.
Oh yeah, I'm okay with that.
I feel like that would be super fun.
Yep. I'm down. Like I could definitely I could get on board with it. Maybe at the end of this we'll do a little bit of it. Just to experiment. But the Boss Blitz server buffs just came out, and this is an interesting concept because we haven't really seen anything like this since like the bells and stuff, where you get like a server-wide buff for everybody. And the bell is really just combat exp that we use to teabag people in PvP.
It is.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, really all you use the bell for is just to BM people in PvP when you beat them in GVGs and Node Wars and stuff. But like this Boss Blitz server buff is actually kind of juiced. If somebody clears a Calamity 7 on your server, everybody gets +1 DP, I think the first one is. And then the second Calamity 7 is cleared.
It depends on the element of the boss. So moon is DP, sun is AP, and earth is drop rate.
Okay, so everyone's clearing earth, yes.
Everyone's
you can clear like all three bosses, and then everybody on the server gets +1. I think it's sheet too, right? AP, DP.
Sheet, yes.
Yeah, +1 sheet AP, +1 sheet DP, and 10% drop rate buff
So
on that server for 3 hours.
There's one person before every uncapped siege that is running of level 7 Calamity to give you a +1 sheet AP, right?
No, because that would help the enemies too.
No.
I mean, I guess that is fair, but
can't have it.
Somebody, it's gonna happen.
Oh, it's 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, we could send someone in the middle of the siege. One of our non-participants, go clear the Calamity again. Get in there. What are we paying you for? Wrong one. That's the drop rate, dude. It'd be so funny. But yeah, no, like, what do you guys think about this? Would you like to see more server buffs like this, Jay? I'm gonna let Tiltus go first because I know Jay's our PvE specialist. So I'm gonna let Tiltus go first. I know Jay's gonna have a lot to say on this. Tiltus.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing because it calls attention to that one player that did something really cool. I think that's good. I mean, it's cool. I think the arena, not the Arena of Arsha, the Arena of Solaire statues are super cool. And anything that gives like a player even just a moment of fame, for a minute, or in this case 3 hours, is pretty cool. So I would love to see more of this kind of stuff. This is good changes to the game.
Careful with that.
I like this.
Careful with that, because see what you said was, I know what you meant was, it's really cool to give the whole server stuff and have you be recognized for it. But what came out was we want to give that character fame. And what's going to happen is we're going to get more merchant rings popped right at the start of Siege that just fuck everyone over as you're trying to engage for the next 4 minutes. Okay? Be careful what you wish for. What we want is more big server-wide recognition that's in the corner of our screen that isn't literally super disruptive to everybody, necessarily speaking. Right? Jay, how do you feel about this stuff?
Yeah, I would love more server-wide buffs for like just other things in general. Let's say a Nightmare World boss gets defeated. Everybody gets something, whether it be some more stats, killing Vel or Garmoth as well, maybe even completing a treasure, like you mentioned, the Rich Merchant's Ring, right? What if completing a Rich Merchant's Ring gave everybody for 24 hours 100% drop rate, because not many people make a Rich Merchant's Ring. Like they can't make it every day, and so I think it would be a special day for that person to give everybody in the server, or like world, like server wide, just like NA server, like the entire NA server, entire EU server, whatever, 100% drop rate just for completing a merchant ring or something like that. Same thing with all the other treasures, right? Just give them something special, and I think that would be a really cool tidbit, for everyone else. I think as for the Calamity 7 bosses themselves, I wanted to talk a little bit about the rewards for it, because I wanted to touch on how I do think the rewards are a little bit lackluster for the amount of how potentially long it could take for some people for the minuscule rewards it could also give, right? Like for me, I've cleared all C5 and C7, and then from then on I've been doing C7 since it came out, and every bundle I've just been getting a lot of disappointment to be honest. I've only ever gotten like one double record earring in the last 3, 4, or 5 months, however long Land of Morning Light has come out. And so I just think, for something, when we look at like rewards, right, when we look at content in the game that players spend a lot of time doing, right, it's generally something really cool, whether it be a rare item, an exclusive costume like the Orzeka costume, or the new Veracant costume, a T10 horse, right? Time and time again, we constantly speak on giving more stuff like this. So I truly feel that if the boss splits gave something exclusive like that, it would give more incentive to do that content. So let's say it gave an exclusive Land of Morning Light costume, right? And maybe a title with an aura, maybe increasing your max boss tickets so you can challenge more bosses a week, and the idea I had to implement this was simply a token system similar to like the Shikatu seals, right? So let's say you get a C7 rank 1 boss bundle and it would give you 20 tokens. And if you got less than rank 1 or challenge 6 and below, right, it would give you less. And then you could exchange, I don't know, like 100 tokens for a double rack earring. So if you were to clear all rank 1 C7, you would get enough tokens, 100 tokens for that week to get a double racket earring, which I think is a fair reward because not everybody will be going for rank 1 C7s every week. And so then more tokens can be used for other things I mentioned. Let's say you need 1,000 tokens to get this exclusive costume or title. And so, yeah, these would be my ideas to give more incentive to challenging the higher calamity levels, because I do think they are kind of lackluster for how difficult they can be to complete every week.
So my rebuttal to that is that we're not done with calamity levels yet.
We're not done with calamity.
True.
There is 8 through 10.
But do they really keep like the server buffs? Do you think that once Calamity 10 is out and they give us more orbs, do you think that Calamity 7 is going to give us a buff? Like I think they just moved that to Calamity 10.
They mentioned before they will be moving it to Calamity 10 for those buffs in the future when they release Calamity 10. However, it's been a while since we've gotten Calamity. A Calamity increase. I think when Korea first got it, they only had Calamity 5, and then when we got it, we got Calamity 7, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right.
I'm not sure when we're gonna get Calamity 10. Hopefully, I don't know what they're gonna do with Calamity 10. I do hope that it's not just a simple stat increase. Hopefully there's another like what is it called, like another phase or something just to like increase it.
Jay, I know exactly what they're gonna do. Don't worry. Delphi let me in on it before he left.
Wait, really? Oh.
Yeah, so they're gonna make it harder.
Oh,
I'm leaving. I'm done, guys.
Look, I just had to do it to him.
One.
I could not have expected that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's gonna be harder.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they're just gonna jack the stats up and not do anything to it. I almost guarantee it. Right? There's no shot.
I don't think they're going to do that, actually. This is the one time where I am going to give them some credit, because the way the bosses are set up now, they don't do that. A Calamity 7 does not have the same mechanics that a Calamity 4 has.
Yeah, has minor changes. Like, for example, Gumiho, if you challenge Gumiho from C1 to 4, the potion mechanic is infinite, but on C5 to C7, the potion mechanic is limited. So, for example, there was a phase...
The green one doesn't even work.
Yeah, the green one doesn't work as well. You have to fight both of the, or you can cheese it by just killing it in a corner. But
we don't talk about that one.
but the blue potion is one of the toughest phases in Gumiho, where the room is filling up with fire. You only have 2 uses, so you have to get Gumiho from 70% to 25% in the time frame before the room fills up in 2 clears of the potion bottle. Yeah. It is a tight DPS check, and so maybe it might be like minor changes like that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we can't even use the potions. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that I think specifically for the calamity levels, I think that we'll see the addition of other minor mechanics that will change the fights for certain phases. I mean, even Amugi has varying mechanics in his fight too, based on what the calamity level you do. So I that's the one thing I'm going to give them credit for and say that I have faith that we'll get some minor changes for 8 through 10. And I have a feeling that's probably why it's taking a while for us to actually get them.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys have way more faith than I do, bro.
Like, it's just because of how much attention they gave into that expansion and how good the calamities actually are that I am like, you already have like all the building blocks. Like, surely you can't fuck this up, right?
That is fair, but I will say
maybe 8 to 10 is group. You know,
I was gonna bring that up. That sounds incredible.
I've got it. All right. So it becomes like you go in as a group of 3, right? And then at like 25%, the boss resets and respawns as this giant rock golem. Ooh, when you get it really low, it puts its arm on the ground, and you can kill the arm, and it goes into iframe. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sorry. The second that Jay was like, we could make it party, I was like, he's gonna say the word golem in the next 2 minutes.
There could be a golem boss blitz.
There it is.
Oh my God.
I thought what you were gonna say is that when you hit 25%, each person has to go fight that calamity like boss for the last 25% solo, and that's the only way you can beat this if all 3 people beat it solo. That would be neat.
I mean, like, I really do miss like the feeling of Destiny 2 in like a raid where like you're stressed out. It's hard, you know, like you're trying to do these mechanics and it requires a shot caller, right? Not that I'm kind of biased in that regard, but like you have one guy telling everybody what to do and everybody's trying to do exactly what they're supposed to, and then you have to pair up sometimes and you have to work in coordination with each other in different rooms, but like toward a common goal. I miss that so much, and I really do feel that BDO could pull that off. That same feeling that I used to get in Destiny 2's raids, like in either Callous or Forsaken or what have you, I can get that same feeling in BDO, but like I just don't feel like it's there. And maybe the boss blitz is an opportunity to do just that.
Yeah,
like
I think the boss blitz is a good testing ground for those kind of things too. Like you already have a PvE boss that is actually enjoyable and fun to do. So like if you added group content to that, it could be a great way to test out small scale. I think that's one thing that Destiny has going for it that other MMOs don't, is that their raid content is small scale. It's a lot easier to get a group of 6 together to go do something than it is to get a group of 24 together to go do something. So,
yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, 24 is kind of rough, right? But like, yeah, you could get like I would totally go do it if it was like a group of 5 and it was like equivalent to like a Callous or something. Like, okay, 3 of you have to jump into like the abyssal room and they have to jump through this portal and then they have to be doing these things, or the people on top die, right? And vice versa. And like you're all trying to like communicate with each other in voice while you fight the boss in different dimensions. Like that's super cool. Fighting, and it requires a level of coordination that is just beyond what we see now, which is if we just DPS it really hard, we don't even have to do the mechanic. That's every time I've done the dungeon with Jay, people go, Blue, have you done the dungeon before? And I'm like, yes, but not really. Because like I get into the dungeon with Jay and Jay's like, Blue, you have enough gear, right? And I'm like, yes, Jay, I have gear. And then he's like, all right, stand in this corner and just hit this thing. I'm like, okay. And then I do it, and then the boss dies and we never have to do a mechanic and we're done in 15 minutes. Like it's frustrating, you know, like because I feel like it could be way more than that. You know?
That's why I think the second dungeon is my favorite, and because of the mechanics that you have to do during the boss.
Yeah, no, that last boss, like I was like, oh my god, they're starting to get it. right?
Yep.
Oh my god, they're starting to understand.
They
starting
towed
to
it.
become
Yeah,
self-aware.
they towed the line on that one. They were like, wait a minute, we know how to do raids.
Yeah, and I
We know how to
remember
do dungeons.
and I remember watching like the top streamers were all in like a group together when it first came out, and they did that final boss like 6-7 straight hours. Vert was
Yep.
just like putting
Yup.
his head in his hands, you know, couldn't get it. I was like, yes, suffer. This is what fun feels like. Suffering.
Okay,
I
so
like
it
watching you
definitely
fail.
Yeah.
it definitely suffers in the moment. Number one, it does make good content, but number two, the feeling that you get after overcoming
Right.
those
Defeating it? Oh
challenges
my God,
are
it's so
is
good.
incredible.
Yes.
It's the Dark Souls formula. It's the you're gonna throw your head against this for the next 2 hours, have fun, but when you beat it, if it's done well and if it's done fairly, you feel like, yes, I overcame the challenge. What sucks is when you finish it and all you feel is relief that you finished it. You're like, I'm done with it now.
Like
I
a
don't
League
ever
of
have to
Legends
do
game.
it again. Yes,
a League of
exactly.
Legends,
Exactly like a League
When
game.
you finish a league game, whether you win, like, if you win, it's not relief that, oh yes, we won. It's, oh thank God we didn't lose. Like, oh thank God. Oh thank God.
Yeah.
It's-
So it definitely needs to, like, the thing that I think a lot of modern companies struggle with to make things difficult, and I think it's one of the reasons why FromSoft does so well with Dark Souls and Elden Ring and all that, is because everything feels fair in those games. You die because you fucked up. That's good, because that means you can overcome that challenge, right? Next time, don't fuck up and you'll be fine. So that's definitely that I'm skeptical about with PA. Like, that PA could just be like, oh, it just has a wipe mechanic. And wipe mechanics can be good, but at the same time, a lot of times they're not. I'm not personally a big fan of like just straight wipe mechanics, because Timmy Tuvala was over there in the corner fucking beating his meat. Or
I
something.
like that. I like that, bro. Everybody's got to do their job. If Timmy's not doing his, you just yeet. Okay, get the hell out of here. Okay, get him out of here. Like, I want like 6 coordinated people all doing their jobs, and I want to know who's fucking up.
I think that's fine for really high level raids. If you want to do difficulties like that already exist in the game, you want to do that for the really high level difficulties, that I'm okay with. But like wipe mechanics for like medium and below difficulties, I don't think are fantastic, because I think rather than make it difficult for players, it's just going to turn players off, and they're going to be like, well, I'm never doing that dungeon again. I haven't ran the second dungeon since the first time I did it, because the wipe mechanics in the final boss, while some of them were cool, a lot of them felt like bullshit some of the time. So
Yeah.
Jay's model just like went into La La Land there for a second.
Wait, what happened? I was yawning.
Your like
I'm
head
sorry.
started kind of rolling back.
Yeah,
Your
I
eyes
thought
like
you
started
just
fluttering, and I
started-
was like, "Whoa, I'm talking about PvE."
I
I'm
was
being
like,
judged. My
Jay,
bad.
I'm the epileptic Jay. You can't have a seizure. Okay, it's
My
not fair.
bad. I'll go back to
It's insulting
PvP.
to me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we only have 9 minutes, but I do want to touch on the war deck changes just a little bit here at the end here. We are getting the war
Yes,
deck
PvP.
changes. Yes. PvP queen.
They
Yes.
changed it. They changed it.
What do you mean they changed it?
They changed it. One-sided decks are still going to be
No, they're not.
possible.
No, they're
Starting
not.
from the September 13th Wednesday maintenance, the Guild Wars.
Did you see
system
the
gets
link I
changed.
posted? And
That's what I'm reading out of right now.
Yeah, no, they removed it big time.
Scroll about midway through.
Did they?
After a long period of consideration and confirmation of the situation, we have decided to exclude the one-sided wars from the Black Desert system with the... Oh, okay. They did decide to include it.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm like,
done.
Tiltus,
Bye.
God, that hooked on phonics section that you missed in second grade was so important. Reading. Read. We gotta read. The face you just gave me, dude. Bro, I'm all for the no one-sided deck thing. Get rid of it.
Boo.
Yep, I'm sitting on it. Sitting on this fence. Okay. All right. Now, like, did Jay? You don't have anything to add to that?
Well, you know,
How do you feel about the deck changes, Jay?
I don't think it'll affect me because I don't really
Oh,
participate in like open world stuff for the most part. Like, I mean, it could just be like the places that I grind, but I generally don't have an issue with finding a grind spot or having having to contest for my spot based on the places that I grind, like Olin's Valley. It's just not really contested. Any of the end game grind spots, like Crypt, Ulukita, Trolls, etc., not really contested. So it's not really too much of an issue for like the end game grinders. I definitely can see it more of an issue for the early game grinders, where it's things are a lot more contested. There's more population in those places. So, but they are I'm pretty sure they're still going along with the Marnie's Realm thing, right? Which allows you to get into Marnie's Realm literally every hour, essentially, and so that will probably help with that. I mean, for the most part, there were lots of concerns before when people were talking about how, if they go through with the war deck changes and whatnot, it will reduce player interaction. But for the most part, I think it's, how do I word it? It's kind of like, I think if BDO players really want more player interaction, it should just be part of the content that the games does give us, whether it be party content, consensual PvP like Node Wars, Conquest Wars, the upcoming War of the Roses, Ataraxian dungeon content, maybe guild raid content in the future. I think that would be the way to give player interaction together, if people want it, rather than wanting people to fight each other. Open world, open world does have a place somewhere, but definitely not where I am. So
I'd rather them just.
I do think that you're 100% correct. I think that player interaction should be developed a different way rather than just forcing people to fight. That being said, they are removing some of the only player interaction that we currently have, which is a bummer.
I don't think they're removing it. People are so doom and gloom about this, bro. Like, it's like Cho and Digi really aren't going to see a difference. The people that want to fight them are already decked on them anyway. It doesn't matter, right? All this really does is it keeps people from punching way down on the totem pole, or people from just backdooring GVGs. You know what I mean? How annoying is it when you're GVGing a guild and then like two other guilds are like, oh, they're winning. Let's make sure that they're not winning. And then they deck only you. And then they fight only you. It is frustrating.
I mean, yes, that part is annoying.
It is frustrating.
We talked about this when we brought up these changes in the first place. I don't like it when they remove systems from the game without giving us something in return for it. And this, to me, feels like they're removing GVGs almost entirely.
It's not true. They're giving us Marnie's Realm 50% of the time now. Although I heard that you could literally Marnie's on one character, do the hour, tag, and then do another Marnie hour on that character, and then tag back and just keep doing that.
Oh, really?
That wouldn't surprise me if that was an oversight.
This way, I would never have to see another player ever again.
Yeah, that needs to not be a thing. I was okay with the 1 hour on, 1 hour off, 1 hour on, 1 hour off, because then that way, at least like for an hour, you're forced to interact with people in the world. If you could just tag, bruh. That's going to be scuffed.
I mean, no, I think like when I'm grinding, dude, I really don't want to interact with another player. If I'm being honest. Like, it's not when I want to interact. I want to interact
indefinitely.
I want to be able to interact in Node Wars when I'm running to place. Maybe not when I'm running. Well, even still, in Node Wars, in a town, PvE, life skilling is fine. Like, all those other times, I can interact at all those other times. But when I'm grinding, dude, because I don't have very much time to grind, I just want to sit there and I just want to go in a circle. It's my favorite geometric shape. But like
circles, bro. We don't do circles anymore.
I think the one-sided
circles.
I know that there were a bunch of Reddit posts about the one-sided deck changes stuff, and I know that this is a heated subject. I actually don't think that the PvP guilds really suffer all that much here because they can all still fight each other. No big deal. I think they're worried about people griefing. Which is a concern, but I think the Marnie's Realm and then changing server swap cooldown to 5 minutes instead of 10 is like, bro, you're just not going to have very many people griefing you, and if you do, you just swap, bro. It's like a 5 minute
it'd be
thing.
So easy to dodge griefing now.
Yeah, it's like a piece of cake. You just get right around it. No big deal. So I'm not really sure about that. Now the red karma system, the family-wide karma, I'm pretty sure we're getting that too, right?
Yeah.
Good. All good things. All good things.
Alt parked at my spot. It's not gonna matter.
It's not. I think it is gonna matter.
I mean, it's not gonna matter because I'm never gonna be able to grief anyways because everybody's gonna be in their little hidden realm, and I'm never gonna see another player ever.
Oh my gosh, this doom and gloom crap. You are gonna see players, just not when they don't want you to see them. Like you said, simple. I do wish that
that's
instead.
a good question. Hang on. Somebody just posed a really good question. I don't know if you guys have the answer. What if you have a red alt? Is your account going to be red tomorrow?
God, I hope so. I'm just kidding. I think that they'll probably reset. I think they'll probably reset Karma.
Oh, okay, Karma reset
server wide.
Okay.
Probably.
Ooh.
I can't confirm that.
I did get a little nervous there for just a second. I was like, wait a minute. Let me think.
Probably.
Do you have a red guy?
Remember,
I had to think about it. I don't think I have one, but got a lot of characters, man.
Just remember when I say probably, I mean like it's like 50-50 whether or not they actually thought about doing that or not. Now one of the final things I want to talk about is they said that there's this big node war improvements are coming with this one. Is this like do we know if this is like the big node war change that they're just pushing through to us?
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, I don't know what else that would be.
Centralized servers. Those are our options.
Dude. Dude.
And we know it's not centralized servers, so it's got to be the node war changes.
No way, dude, right? There's no way that they just push those through to us this quickly. Oh my god, I'm not even going to have to shot call this week. This is great.
They did revert some stuff on it. Allegedly. I've seen some screen caps.
Are they seed patch notes?
I did not see an official source for those screen caps.
They're not?
I do not see the SEA patch notes up yet.
I have been told allegedly, this is not from Tiltus. This is, if you guys want to flame somebody, if I'm wrong, blame Johnny 5. That the raffle system will not be included with the node war changes. Don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I don't think that I would pin that on Johnny. I think that like
No, Johnny told me. So the information coming out of my mouth is coming from Johnny. So if I'm wrong, you guys can go blame him.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that. I think that because like they've told us in the past, don't worry, guys. We took it off the global labs. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And then they gave it to KR, and it was a total. Remember, this is the old node war changes. They gave it to KR, and it was like this total crash and burn, dog shit clown fiesta. And then they took it away from KR, and they were like, "All right, that didn't work. Let's give it to the whole world." And then they launched it live to everybody without changing anything, and it was get this, a disaster. So like even if they took it off the global labs, I still don't think we're safe.
I just pulled up the Taiwan patch notes. We are getting the node war changes, at least from what I'm seeing here.
Give me the link.
If they at least got rid of the raffle, I will not be like completely heartbroken. If we're raffling for tomorrow's war, I'm out.
I got it.
Yeah.
I'm Discord. You got to scroll down to I think like 60% of the way down.
Stronghold and occupation war.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a hold on, I'm looking to see if the stages, participants. I don't know. This looks like that the random is still in here. This looks like
where are you seeing it? Because I'm looking for it right now.
Oh, here, ability to apply at each stage of Stronghold. Do you see that part?
Apply.
Is that what it is?
That's got to be it, right?
Yeah,
you have to apply. Yeah, you have to like go in for the lottery, apply. You know, like we're translating this from Taiwanese, so like.
They did change some node war areas, and hopefully they actually fix the problems with those areas in the first place.
Oh, we're getting, looks like the Valkyrie changes too, which should be interesting.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right before the Best in Guild tournament, which should be interesting. I mean, it's always good to just completely change a class right before the tournament.
Phase 3 has officially increased and duel more people, blah, blah, blah. Many adventures.
Cycle of base areas between stages. In order for adventures... Okay.
This is a change that was not... Many adventurers have also given their opinions on the special edition damage settings for strongholds in 1 and 2. Kaya necklace, chimera, eye, jewelry stone, then to meaning reduce the number of guilds engaging in stronghold. Strengthen the gap for a method. Or...
Yeah, I don't know. There's no way to interpret this.
Why'd you even bring up the Kaya and chimera necklace? You didn't even address it in that phrase. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, like we honestly don't know. Because this is so poorly translated, but I'll probably go through this in the patch note rundown and try to figure it out. But yeah, if we get the node war changes, sweet, no more shot calling for the rest of the week. Bet.
Just don't do the raffle.
So I have a question for you. Do they reset? They have to reset the nodes, right?
I would assume so.
They have
right?
to reset them,
sense.
right? Like they have to, which means that Siege is just not going to happen this week because only like 4 guilds are going to qualify. Right? Like it's like
maybe,
you're talking
makes
about
sense.
Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday. You have 3 nights to qualify for Siege, and everyone has to qualify, which means everyone is dropping all 3 days. Like that would be a nightmare, which also sucks because we already qualified for Siege. Put the fork down tonight. Put it down. Put the fork down. Like,
Good luck.
seriously. Yeah, no, we'll see. Like
We'll see. Yeah, we're gonna need
see,
the
yeah.
actual English
they don't-
version of the patch notes because these are Google
these are
Translate is
rough.
suffering.
Yeah, these are rough. Like I don't know if the randomization is still in here. It's really tough to tell. And I also don't know. It doesn't say anything about the nodes resetting, but they have to. I feel like they have to. I don't feel like they have to kick people out of region necessarily because they're not changing that. But I do feel like they would have to kick people out of their nodes because of how much they're changing here. But we will see.
Well, we'll see.
Yep. All right, boys. Time for the outro. We did dealt this first last time, so Jay will shoot it back to you here.
Hi, I'm Jay Kuhn. I do a lot of endgame PvE content, and I'm always happy to answer questions about the game. I also have been streaming some other variety games such as Baldur's Gate 3 and Phasmophobia, and you can find me over at twitch.tv/JKunVT, V before the T. Yes.
All right.
There we go.
We're gonna have to play some Phasmo.
I waited an extra couple seconds to see if you would just stumble over yourself at the end because you didn't do it at all. There, and I was confused. Tiltus.
Hi, I'm Tiltus TV. I am the flex lead for the Alliance Solace. I have mained DK for 6 years, so if you want to see some DK gameplay that is above average, you can always tune into my streams. I will be streaming more coming soon, especially when it cools off a little bit. I'm almost caught up on work. I'm like 2 weeks from being caught up finally. So hopefully once work kind of settles down, I'll be able to manage my energy levels, because right now it's like an hour a week for the podcast, and then I'm like, I'm done for the week.
Or it's just toast, right? Like,
yeah, I have my mental energy level is very low. So soon, TM, promise.
Oh, the patch notes just went up for SEA, so this is done. So I like
that was fast.
I'll take it easy. And I am Blue Squadron. There's always content happening on this channel. I'm gonna do the patch note rundown next, so I am not done streaming today. I always post stuff on my YouTube. There's new YouTube videos every single day, believe it or not. And I think I need an editor at this point. Oh my goodness. But yeah, if you always want to find the podcast, it is always live on my channel pretty quickly. Usually I launch it by about 6 in the morning Central Time for the United States, but it's always up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right away as well. And then of course you can find it at Jay Kuhn's YouTube channel as well. But it usually takes him a few more hours, if not a day or so, to go ahead and get that up there. So make sure you guys look us up. You guys can always find the Old Moon Podcast. We love all of you. Have a great rest of your week.